Welcome back to the Summer Escape with SingerLewak podcast series, your go-to guide for unforgettable summer adventures. Today we're wrapping up our series with another stop on the West Coast, the stunning state of Oregon. In this episode, we are joined by Oregon partners Brad Bingenheimer and Kevin Gienger. They are all Oregon natives familiar with the hidden gems that this state has to offer. Together, they'll share their favorite summer spots from the Oregon coast to the stunning trails, breweries, and wineries that make the Beaver State so special. From the iconic Fort Stevens State Park to the thrilling Olympic trails at the University of Oregon, we'll be covering it all. Get ready for an adventure you won't want to forget.
Let's start by introducing myself. I am Brad Bingenheimer, an assurance partner with SingerLewak, based in Salem, Oregon, and I am a lifelong resident of the state of Oregon. Kevin?
I'm a tax partner in the Salem office as well, and I also grew up in Oregon, about an hour south of Salem, so I didn't travel very far, but I've been in Oregon my whole life.
So tell me, Kevin, what's your favorite thing about Oregon in the summertime?
There's so many things to do. It's hard to kind of pick one, but our state parks are a great place to explore. There's camping. You have to plan quite a bit in advance because the camping fills up. Our summer, it can be a little short. We're known for rain, so you have to be prepared for that part, and you never know when the rain is going to start for the fall or end for the spring, or just show up in the middle of the summer sometimes. But inside those parks, there's so many other things to do as well, because we have big parks along the beaches, and then we have them up kind of as you get up into the mountains as well. So lakes and rivers, and there's hiking and a number of other sort of activities, just depending on the park and where it's located.
So have you ever been to Fort Stevens State Park up by Astoria?
Yeah, I've been up there once. We camped up there. It was pretty interesting.
Did you get out to the old World War II artillery battery there?
Yes, the kids had a good time kind of running around through the old buildings and things. So that was a fun place. Have you spent much time there?
Yeah, as a kid, we would go up there. We went up there a few times and camped up there. It's always interesting, the history of that it's the only place in the continental U.S. that was actually shelled during World War II. You know, the story is that one night a Japanese sub surfaced off the coast of Oregon. Didn't know exactly what they were shooting at, but they thought they would shoot at America. And so it was right up there at around the mouth of the Columbia, around the artillery battery there. And the artillery battery figured they didn't know what they were shooting at, so they didn't return fire. And yeah, so that's kind of, its claim to fame in World War II history.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of interesting. We mostly just kind of, explored, but I know there's a big Lewis and Clark presence up there as well that you can look through, which is a big part of, Oregon's history as they came exploring. Well, I know, Brad, you're really into kind of the, cuisine and the restaurant scene. And so maybe you can tell us about some of your favorite or unique restaurants that people could visit in this area.
Well, yeah, I could go on and on about that. Since we're kind of talking about that area up there in Astoria, there's a place called the Fort George Brewery. They have a fish and chips. They use albacore tuna for the fish. It is so good. Yeah, we spend a lot of time eating along the coast. One of our other favorite places to go is in Newport. There on the bayfront is the local ocean seafood. And the things you have to try there, they have this creamy garlic and crab soup that is so incredibly good. And then my favorite dish there is the fishwife stew, which is a kind of spicy tomato broth that has fish, mussels, clams, scallops, and crab in it. Yeah, you make a pig of yourself when you have it, but that's okay.
Sound good. We should probably mention Moe's too, because that's one of the most famous restaurants, at least on the Oregon coast, and you can find one in a lot of different stops along the way, as well as I think they have a little outlet in the airport too. So
yes, they do.
Flying in, you can grab your chowder right there when you land. But
yeah, and Tillamook is one of my favorite areas on the Oregon beach. I've spent a lot of time up there serving clients in that area, and it has there's a couple little kind of what I consider the hidden gems but you got to get off the beaten path a little bit. But there's the small little village of Oceanside, which is kind of built into the steep cliffs, kind of as it overlooks a shallow bay there in the Pacific. And there's a great a restaurant there called Rosanna's. And just down the road in another small community is Neatarts. And on Neatarts Bay, you'll find my favorite beach bar in the entire world, which is the Schooner. I may have spent more than my fair share of time there, but always good food. And you have to try their General Chow's wings.
I've never had the wings, but yeah, those are both good stops for sure.
Yeah.
Rosanna's, I know if you can save room, they have some great pies there.
Yes, their desserts are always amazing.
Well, gee, that takes us around a lot of different places.
Yeah.
I don't know, any other sort of great road trip spots that you would recommend?
Well, the Willamette Valley has so many different wineries. You can't talk about Oregon and not talk about wine tasting at all the different vineyards. It's interesting. One of the oldest ones here is Willamette Valley Vineyards. And I grew up just around the corner from that, about, a mile down the road. So I watched them when they were, putting it in, and how it kind of, just kind of came to be as, one of the leading wineries here in Oregon.
It's a great place to go on an evening and eat dinner, or just have a glass of wine and look out over the valley from their tasting room and the big deck they have up there.
I know you mentioned the state park system. Of course, we have one of the real gems in the Silver Creek Falls, right?
Yeah, so we do like to go there, especially because it's, so close to Salem. There's like maybe 20 miles of trails up there or more. I've made the long walk like once or twice. Usually we just go to, say, 2 or 3 of the many falls they have up there, but that's a great park. Even if you just go up to picnic, there's one of the big falls is easy to access if you're not into a big hike, so you can walk down. Plus they have a number of other buildings and exhibits that are there, and multiple access points. So if you're trying to stay maybe away from the big crowds, but it's a great place to go because it's so close, and there's so many different trails and so many different waterfalls that you can see in one place.
Yeah, that's always a great place to visit. And usually most of the trails are pretty easy walks. They're well maintained and everything. So
yeah, they do a great job up there. Well, let's see. Speaking kind of the outdoors and walking, and I don't know, do you like to get out and do any sort of outdoor, other types of outdoor activities, either for recreation or for exercise?
Yeah, one of the things we've done a couple different times is do some whitewater rafting. Lots of different places you can go with, either on the San Am or the Mackenzie or the chutes in Bend. That's always fun to do. On a hot day, it's good to cool down. None of those are super crazy. There's enough whitewater to keep it interesting. But it's also can be very relaxing, and you get to see great wildlife and just be out in the woods as you float along the river. That's fun.
Yeah, we've taken trips on the Mackenzie and the Deschutes, and yeah, they've both been really good. And actually, we did the Rogue a few summers ago, which is a scenic area, so there's no building or any longer. It's been closed down for quite a while to motorized activity, so you're really out in the middle of nowhere for a while.
Yeah, I've not done the Rogue, but yeah, I've been in that area, and it's beautiful. For those people who maybe don't want to do whitewater, if you drive all the way down to the very south of the Oregon coast, to the city of Gold Beach, you can take a jet boat up the Rogue River, and you can have opportunity to see a lot of the wildlife and just enjoy the nature there. That's a lot of fun. The jet boats, that's a fun ride if you've never done that.
Yeah, I know. We've done that a few times, and those guys are amazing pilots on those boats. They'll be able to run the boat through very shallow water and stop on a dime or turn, or like you said, spot the wildlife and shut it down and give you guys a really good look of whatever might be there, whether it's a bear or deer or some, different kinds of birds. There's all kinds of stuff once you get up out of town a little bit, and it's great scenery. I do like that trip.
In Oregon in the summertime, it's also when everybody gets out to have different kinds of events. What kind of events do you like to attend?
Well, see, locally, one of the things that we often try to go to is the art fair. Salem has a big art fair, attracts, local artists of all different kinds, just different kinds of crafts, painting, other types of sculptures. And they bring them from all over the Northwest, and it goes for like a long weekend. I think in the early part of August is when it normally is. And so every once in a while we'll find something and pick it up from the art fair. And it's just a great place to see new artists and just to browse, really, and see all the different types of things that people are able to create.
And St. Paul is a very tiny town until the rodeo hits, and it's very, very big. That's always lots of fun. And of course, there's always different. Seems like every weekend, someplace there's a festival of some kind going on.
Yeah,
I know.
True.
The World Beet Festival here in Salem is this coming weekend. Of course, we just had the big Rose Festival up in Portland in June. Didn't rain for it this year. That was kind of nice. So, because you never know up there. Seems like it's going to rain some. Yeah, always lots of different festivals and fairs going on. And of course, that all kind of wraps up the end of the year, of the summer, with the 10 days leading up to Labor Day for the Oregon State Fair.
That's
Seems
right.
like, growing up here in Salem, with the fairgrounds, right here in town, seemed like that was a thing that we always did every year as you go to the fair for a day or two.
Yeah, I like the fair just because they have all the 4-H things. So you see all the animals and the local, crafts and different exhibits that they make in all the different sort of categories. And then, of course, the rides and the fair food. And they always have some interesting artists in the amphitheater there, too. So you can catch some music if you want to do that.
Okay, so what's your guilty pleasure fair food?
The elephant ear is probably the top on the list there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that giant, fried elephant ear. That's a good one.
Yeah, I think ours is the foot-long corn dog. Yeah, it's bad for you, but you still like it.
Yeah, no, it's tasty. I grew up down in Springfield, Eugene area, and so they have just redone, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, the track stadium at the University of Oregon, which is currently hosting the Olympic trials.
Yeah, we've been watching the trials on TV every evening. A lot of fun. And of course, we have our Oregon native, Brian Krauser, the shot put,
right.
world record holder in the shot put. And so he's once again going to the Olympics this year.
My son's in high school now, so go to some of the local meets and you'll see that some of our famous Oregonians are still the record holders at these high school track meets, like Brian Krauser is the record holder at some of the invitational track meets, even from back in his high school days, and now a world record holder. So it's pretty crazy to see someone from our little state of Oregon go up at that level.
We are talking Oregon, so we got to talk Portland. You spend much time up in Portland?
From time to time. Obviously, there's a lot of fun things to do up there. The zoo is one of the places that we'll go every so often. They have, some concerts there, which is fun to see. And then also they do the zoo lights, which is a winter activity, where you can go and tour through on their little, a zoo train. So especially for the kids, it's kind of a fun little excursion. But there's so many other things. What sort of things do you like to do up in the Portland area?
Well, of course, we have season tickets to the Broadway shows that come through at the Keller. And so I always like to have dinner beforehand. So like I said before, lots of great restaurants in Portland. But, one of my favorite places is Pal's Book.
Oh, right.
I love reading. It's so big. Every time I go there, I always come away with at least 1 or 2 books, sometimes 3 or 4, depending upon what catches my eye. Yep. So it's a great place to just get lost in sometimes. And then a few other things, on the west side of town, you have the Japanese gardens. I don't know if you've ever gone through that.
I haven't, but my wife has gone, and she really, we should go because she talks about it.
It's very beautiful. It's so, you have the busy city, and this seems like a whole different world because it's so tranquil in there. So, And then also in that same area is the Pittock Mansion.
Yes, I've been up
which really, it's fun the summertime, but really it shines best at Christmas when they decorate the whole thing up for Christmas. That's a fun place to visit.
Yes, I've heard that. I've never been up for Christmas, but yeah, it's a great place to see kind of a view of the city too. That's one of the great things about Oregon is that, you have that city there, but inside the city, like you said, you have these areas like the Japanese Garden or Forest Park where you feel like you're not in the city anymore and you're in nature, but you're kind of still right there. And then of course you can travel east down the gorge there, and Multnomah Falls is another very popular attraction. And so if you're in that Portland area, it's a nice little excursion. I think you might have to have like a reservation now, since they're trying to keep it from getting too crowded, but they might have to plan ahead a little bit. But it's a easy drive and an easy walk for a pretty, picturesque area.
Yeah, we've been up there many times. It's very beautiful. Yeah, we really have not talked at all about the Bend area and Eastern Oregon.
Yeah, it's true. There's a lot of places to go.
Yeah, and that living here in the Willamette Valley, we don't get over there that often. But yeah, like there in Bend, there's the river area where all the different breweries are lined up. So if you want to get a sample of all the different local beers, there's like 10 breweries right in a row that you can just walk one from the other to the other. So
yeah, there's so many small breweries that you can spend a lot of time just kind of getting to know each of the different kind of operations, and they have their own little cultures and personalities.
Yeah, and that I forgot, we have one brewery there on the Oregon coast I forgot to mention, which was the Rogue Brewery.
Yes, the world headquarters are here.
Which now you see, used to be you'd never hear of it outside of Oregon, but now you travel around the country and you'll see Rogue beers on the menu sometimes. Yeah, that's.
And I don't know if they still have their hop farm, but that's a fun little place to go, kind of out of the way, but right on the river, a place which is more of an outdoor seasonal summer stop, but a great, a food truck and games to play on the lawn, and you can hang out and see the fields where they start all of the production with the hop growing.
That's a fun one. And of course, if you're in Newport, where the headquarters are, it's good to take the tour, the brewery and their distillery, and so you get to learn about how they're making the different distilled liquors that they have, and at the end of it, you get some free samples. Which what's wrong with that?
Yeah, so, I've been over there to the world headquarters a few times, and then they even have some restaurants on the waterfront down there, which is a fun place to kind of go and look at shops and have dinner as well. So the Newport's another good stop on the coast.
So I think I always tell people Oregon in the summertime is really one of the most beautiful places on earth. We have the trees are green, the rivers are full, the beaches. If it's hot in the valley, go to the beach and it's going to be cold, so you can cool down. We have just about everything here I think somebody would want.
No, I think it's true too, especially living in Salem. We're only an hour from the beach and, a little over an hour to get up into the mountains. And if you wanted to do the hiking or some other things, Bend's a little bit further, but that's a nice stop too, to be on the other side of the mountains. You get some seasons with the little bit of cool weather and the rain, but that's what keeps things green. And summer is one of the best parts for sure. So that's one of the fun times.
Yeah. As soon as it hits 70 degrees, everybody comes out of their houses and you see people again after being cooped up in the rain for 3 or 4 months. So right. It's always fun. Yeah. Summer is definitely my favorite time here in Oregon.
I know. I agree too. Any other kind of, unique things or that we should share about either our local area or, adventuring in Oregon?
Well, there's just so many different things to choose from. I mean, Oregon has a lot of, unique things. Like for instance, you mentioned Crater Lake earlier. It's the deepest lake in the U.S. Along the beach, we have a Depot Bay, which is the world's smallest harbor.
Right. There you go.
I mentioned Powell's Bookstore, which is the largest bookstore west of the Mississippi. And if you really want to get kind of crazy, down south, we have the Oregon Vortex. I don't know if you've ever been there.
We went there for the first time just maybe last summer or the summer before. Yes, it was fun. It's a quirky little place, but they do a great job with the tour.
Yeah, it was kind of fun when we did it a few years ago. So it just seems like you just have so many different things to choose from here. If I was visiting, it'd be hard to choose, just like 5 things because you have just so many different choices.
Yeah, and something for everyone, I would think, though. Well, I think we should also just, touch on the financial side of small business. We have tons of our client base are local, family-owned businesses often. They cover all kinds of different industries, but, some of the maybe bigger things that Oregon might be known for is in the agriculture area. Those businesses seem to have done a really good job of taking advantage of the seasonality of their business by, I think they basically refer to as agritourism, and creating an opportunity to bring people into their specific, venues at different times of the year for different things. So one very popular item is in the fall to do something around Halloween and harvests. Even if you're not, say, growing pumpkins, you can still have a fall. We have apple orchards around here, so getting local apple cider is a great thing. And then as you get into, other parts of the year, during the spring, there's a couple different places where people have gotten into selling flowers and providing tourism around that sort of area. So I just think the local businesses have done a great job of kind of taking one seasonal business and building out other seasons to help round it out throughout the year. Did you have any other ideas, maybe, Brad, on financial strategies for businesses?
I think you hit that right on the head, that businesses that are successful here take advantage of the things that make Oregon unique. I think that's the key for Oregon businesses, is really to take advantage of what we have here and the resources. That really is what I think makes them successful.
And then on the personal side, we talked so much about the state parks and outdoor activities. It's really great that people have the opportunity to, do things for a very low cost. It costs, I think, $5 for a carload of people to go to a state park. And there's so many different activities that can be done there for, a fairly inexpensive price. And so even some of the festivals and things are maybe free to enter or donation based to enter, and then you can choose what you purchase once you get inside to support whichever kind of local businesses or local vendors that you're interested in. So that's what makes it great for families, as well as they have the ability to really kind of pick their budget and do something outdoors and in with other people that's relatively low cost.
And I think it is. It's usually very family friendly that way.
Well, I mean, I've learned a lot about the things here. Even though you think you live here and you know a lot, you learn a lot more as you go through and listen to other people's perspectives.
That's a wrap for our Summer Escape series, and what an adventure it has been. We hope you enjoyed this series as much as we enjoyed creating it. Thanks to Brad and Kevin for sharing their experiences and love for Oregon's natural beauty and vibrant summer scene. From exploring Fort Stevens State Park to indulging in local breweries, fairs, and Olympic trails, there's no shortage of things to do here. Until next time, stay inspired, stay adventurous, and keep exploring.